Nothing was able to hold us in physical slavery. We were strong enough, smart enough, big enough, and determined enough to remove ourselves from physical slavery. And that was our ancestors. We are now what our ancestors were then. We have a duty and a responsibility to carry on the legacy of what our ancestors started when they removed themselves from slavery. Now, if it wasn't for them, none of this stuff would have happened. None of this stuff would have happened. Nothing would have changed here in America. They wasn't going to have it anymore. So they did what they had to do to get themselves out of physical slavery. Abraham Lincoln did his part. The Black people did their part. Our ancestors worked their way through it and out of it. Shalom, shalom. This is the Black News Network coming at you live from the desk of the Emissary. I'm War Smith with the War Report, bringing you the news, the real voice of Black U.S.A. I do not own the rights to the music, but I do own the rights to what I say. As I was saying, there's a big difference between mental slavery and physical slavery. We have endured the physical slavery, and we are, in this current day and time, enduring the mental slavery. And we're enduring this slavery as the result of the slave Bible. Don't get me wrong. I love Jesus and I love God just like you do. But I'm here to tell you the Bible, the slave Bible, is written in a way to keep you dormant, to keep you pacified, to keep you turning the other cheek and not standing up for who you really are. You would much rather not do anything about the atrocities that they have committed on our people. You're doing that now. It is a time and a day and a place where we, as Americans, Black Americans, we have to do our duty to get ourselves out of this mental slavery. Now, I mentioned the slave Bible, and I want to tell you why I mentioned the slave Bible. Because 90% of the Old Testament was removed from the King James Version of the Bible. The King James Version of the Bible had 66 books. Different books, John, Peter, Mark, Luke, Paul, Revelations, all that stuff. Those are the books. The original Bible had 95 books in the Bible. 95 books. Now, those books, some of those books contain information that gave you the power to know who you were and how you got to the situation you were in. You remember the movie Moses, when Moses stood up and said, "Let my people go"? Why is it that you cannot find that particular chapter in the Bible? That particular chapter gave power to Black people, people of color. That was part of the original Bible. It was removed because it gave the slaves that were enslaved here in America the power to understand that they can get out of what they were in, even though they did not have the Moses version of the Bible in the Bible, they still was able to get out of the slavery. They were still able to get out. But because it was a manipulative move to omit on purpose the part about Moses, let my people go, we found out anyway through the movie. But it was a particular purpose to remove that from the Bible. They removed the book of Exodus from the Bible. They redacted most of the information that was available in the book of Exodus. But if you look in the King James Version of the Bible, you will get a redacted version of the book of Exodus. They removed Galatians. All this is Old Testament stuff. They removed the book of Galatians. There is neither bond nor free. We are all our children of Christ. That's what that says. That's why they removed the book of Galatians, because they didn't want you to know that. They also removed the book of Jeremiah. Woe unto him who uses his neighbor's services without wages. No way would they want to allow you to know that you were supposed to get wages for the work that they were doing, or the work that you were doing while you were in slavery. So how do you manipulate a people to a level where they don't know whether they're going to come, and they start to think that, yeah, we supposed to be slaves. We supposed to be this poor because the Bible said so. Because they intentionally left in parts that talked about you being loyal to your master. And they made it a point to let you know that they were your masters. And you accepted it because you knew no better. It wasn't your fault because your ancestors did it that way. They did it that way because they did not know that the Bible had been redacted to a level where it made the white people look like they were the closest thing to God. That's exactly what it did. It made white people let me make sure I'm clear about this. During slavery, the Holy Bible made sure that Black people thought that the white man was the closest thing to God that they could find. That was the master here on earth, sent by God, and they manipulated the brains of the Black people to make them think such. Now that we supposed to know better. We supposed to know better by now. But we are still entangled in this mental slavery that's pushed upon us by the slave Bible. And I call it the slave Bible because it omits the facts that made us who we are today. Those facts are in the original Bible. The book of Exodus, the book of Galatians, the book of Jeremiah, all those books were omitted. The book of Ephesians, well, Ephesians is still in there. 6:5 tells you to be obedient to your master. It selectively edited the Bible to remove anything that would give you power as a Black during the slavery time. We have to get to a point in our lives where we understand that the Bible was written by people who enslaved us. And we have to be smart enough to interpret the Bible in a way that does not make us look like dormant people that don't know how to get themselves out of bondage. We did that. We did it from slavery. How can you think we can't do it again? Now we brought ourselves out of physical slavery. And then the white man learned a new way to put us back into slavery, and he put us into mental slavery. We worked our way out of physical slavery into mental slavery, and now we sitting here dormant in mental slavery, like we don't know that we're in mental slavery. We are there. And the only way we're going to get out of mental slavery is if we start to believe in what our ancestors taught us when they brought themselves out of bondage and slavery. We have to do that again. And then we'll probably have to do it again because they're going to manipulate something else to put us in another type of slavery, structural slavery, with all the properties and all the businesses and all the money and the capital. They're going to put us in that type of slavery. But if we're not already in it, let's get ourselves out of this mental slavery and understand that the Holy Bible is a message from God. However, it's been manipulated by the white man to make them look like they're the closest thing to God. We can't be so naive where we think that what they're teaching us, what we are learning in the Bible today, is exactly the way it is. We can't be that naive. There's something missing here. We owe it to our ancestors to go out and research and find it out for ourselves. I'm here with the Black News Network, bringing you the truth about what has happened with our system here in America, and you want to look at it like it doesn't apply to you. You're more of a part of it than anybody else, every single one of you. You are just as guilty as the next person for falling for the okie doke, the mental Bible. Get yourselves out of mental slavery. Now I want to get off my soapbox because I wanted to bring you something that you can go to bed with tonight and think about, because you are the one in that mental slavery. And you're reading the slave Bible and you're forgetting about these other books in the Bible that give you the power and the knowledge and the belief in yourself that you can do better than be tied to a Bible that takes you to the smallest element on earth. The white man is not the closest thing to God. You are. You are the closest thing to God. You're the descendants of Moses. Let my people go. Look at what they're doing today. Look at what happened with Donald Trump. He's on the campaign again for president immediately following his conviction of raping a woman in a department store. He's on the presidential campaign, and right now, today, June 28, 2023, Donald Trump is the front runner for the Republican Party with his conviction of a rapist. Now, why isn't he on the national registry where they put all pedophiles and rapists on to keep track of where they go? Are we tracking Donald Trump? Oh, money, there's a two-tier system here. The system where rich white people got, and the system where everybody else applies. Everybody else is under the regular jurisdiction system, but people that are rich get treated different. Look at Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden is a crook. He's a liar, and they thought he was a privileged white boy, but they done found him in so much bullshit, so much tax evasion, so much bribery, that they don't even want to let that shit out the bag. He's a dirty white boy, and he's the son of our current president. And you think Joe Biden don't know that he did all this shit? Hell yeah, he knows. Hunter Biden is the same son that married his dead brother's wife. Low down ass white folks. Donald Trump running for president. He's under investigation and about to be indicted for the top secret documents and discussing top secret documents with people that have no security clearances whatsoever. He did that and he's getting away with it. How can you allow people to continue to just shit on the federal government and get away with it? Hunter Biden is doing it. Donald Trump is doing it. DeSantis is doing it. Abbott is doing it. All these white, rich politicians shitting on the federal government because the federal government sits back and watch these atrocities happen in the United States of America. They sit back and they watch Black people treated the way they were in slavery in the United States of America. All these things have happened, and the federal government been sitting on their hands wondering what the hell's going on. They don't care about us. They don't give a shit about us. If you look at what's happening overseas, Putin has a fight with one of his top-ranking officers, Prigozhin. And Prigozhin started a coup in Russia and was about to take them out. But Putin must have made a deal with him and he let him go. He moved out of Russia. The origins of Africa. White people are afraid to admit that everything comes from Africa. Even they come from Africa. They don't want to know that there's Black blood in their bodies. They will never admit that. But speaking of that, I want to tell you this. 80% of the senators, the white people in the House of Representatives, and all the government officials own slaves. And that includes the family of Barack Obama. They own slaves. They are descendants of slaves. So what does that mean? That means that they are benefactors. They have benefited from their ancestors having slaves. George Bush benefited so much that they had the audacity to put on their deeds, their warranty deeds for the property they own, that no Black person can receive this property, can buy this property. Even if all of them die off, they would give that property to the state before they allow a Black person to buy it. They benefited from being slave owners. They're still benefiting from being slave owners. There was a data breach in the school system back in New York. Over 820,000 students' social security numbers, addresses, parents' name have been breached. They don't know what they want to do with this information, but it's not secured anymore. The information is out. Yesterday marked the first year anniversary when those 53 people died in that tractor trailer on the west side of San Antonio. You know, these people pay all this money to these the coyotes. That's what they call them. The coyotes get them from Mexico to the U.S. and they supposed to get them wherever they're supposed to go. And these people, everybody on that bus, that was in that tractor trailer, had to pay thousands of dollars to get on that tractor trailer. And the cartels got away with murder because every one of those people died in the back of that trailer. They brought that trailer to the U.S. The drivers parked it, got out, and walked away from the truck and left the trailer locked. The people died. And they said that they could see evidence where people were trying to claw their way out of that that tractor trailer. Saturday, just past Saturday, there was a man at the San Antonio airport that was sucked into the one of the engine turbines, and he was grinding up. He was dead, and they say it was a suicide. The big thing that you need to pay attention to is that the nurses in the city of Austin and Colorado and Nevada and a couple other states, they have walked off the job for one day because they feel like they're not being compensated right, they're not being trained right, they're not being given ample time to recover when they work, and they are understaffed. Nurses are understaffed at this day and time, and it's not our fault. I mean, if you pay, people will come. People will be in that career field like 40 going east. They will be trying to be nurses. We need more nurses because right now this strike didn't affect San Antonio, but it affected Austin. What do you think? All these nurses walking out on the job on a whole day of a hospital duty, that's going to create such a problem. That's going to create a big problem with our hospitals. We can't have that. We need to break away from the mental slavery, though. The colorless people are the people who have done this work with us. You know, there was a white woman who walked up to this black woman's house and shot her. And they finally got around to arresting her and charging her with that shooting. They did it on June 27th, yesterday. Now, how can they wait 2 weeks after this lady shot this black lady on her own porch and then give her a third-degree manslaughter charge when you went to that lady's house with a gun with the intent to shoot this lady? DeSantis said if he is president, he is going to revoke the Born in America citizenship clause, where no one else born in America will become citizens without going through a process. Just because you're born here, you won't be a citizen. Excuse me. That is something that is about to blow up in America's face if he does this birthright revocation. You've had birthright in this country if you've been born here, but people have abused that system too, just like they've abused everything else in America. You know, people get on a plane 7 or 8 months pregnant, come to America, have that child, and go back to whatever country they come from, because they get that citizenship. Now, when that child grows up, they go back, take the child back with them. When that child grows up, that child has dual citizenship, one over in his present country and citizenship here in America, which now he can bring over all his family. These people are slick as shit. That's how America got. When the great land rush went on, America gave away billions and billions of acres. They gave away billions and billions of dollars to train people coming back from World War I and World War II, the Vietnam War, the Korean War. They gave away tons of money and tons of benefits to people coming back from those wars. But Black people were excluded from every single one of those benefits. They didn't, even up to the Vietnam War, they did not give Vietnam Black veterans the same opportunities back here in America that they gave the white ones. They even gave murderers opportunities better than Black people. They even gave foreigners, they gave Germans and Swedes land here in America when they would not give Black people land. America has done everything in their power to not allow Black people to rise to their higher selves. But it ain't but so much you can do, because Black people are not going to allow you to hold them back forever. It's not going to work. We cannot be held back forever. And we're coming. You know it. That's why you're coming up with all this new stuff like critical race theory, like birthrights. You're coming up with stuff to keep us from progressing to the level we need to. You want us all to be colored instead of the people that we really are. Now, we know, most of us should know, that Negro, colored, African American, Black is not a nationality and not a race. That's how they keep us down, is because we keep continuing to call ourselves what the names that they gave us. Those are just names. Those names are nowhere officially documented anywhere. If anything, you're an American, that's it. But when you put Black American on it, or African American on it, or colored American on it, or Negro American on it, then you have denied yourself citizenship in this country, because you do not have a nationality. That's a problem. Learn what your nationality is and you'll be fine. But it damn sure ain't the words I just mentioned: Negro, African American, Black, colored, spook, nigger, none of that. Those are not your names. Get your real name. And I know it, but I'm not going to reveal it. Not yet. It's coming. It's on a later show. America was allegedly founded on biblical principles. And according to them, biblical principles were principles that held you as slaves, that tortured you as slaves, that killed you, and with no accountability as slaves. And right now, America has no accountability for what they've done to us. You know, you see a few people rising here and a few people rising there to their higher selves and to the money that they should have been had all along. But in most cases, they're in only three categories. They're either an athlete. If they're not an athlete, they are an entertainer. If they're not an entertainer, they're just a scholarly, smart person that knows how to manipulate the system, and they did it. But everybody that's normal, if you're a normal person that just want to work hard, get your money, and become the better self that you know you can be, it's the hardest damn thing to do. On a gallon of gas, do you know you pay 32 cents taxes on that damn 1 gallon? Every single gallon, 32 cents of it goes to the state. 18 cents of that gallon of gas goes to the federal government. And they're thinking of ways right now to increase the charges for a gallon of gas. And I heard somebody mention that they want to charge you for the amount of miles that you drive. This is America. I want you to join me this Sunday on the Black News Network. At 3:30 p.m., we'll be broadcasting live again. The Black News Network broadcasts every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. and every Sunday at 3:30 p.m. You are welcome to come and listen to the new information that I will always bring to you on those two dates. You should subscribe to my YouTube channel, like us, at least leave a comment on our Facebook page. Let me know you're there. Say something. If you know something, say something. If you think something's wrong with what I say, tell me that and let's discuss it. This is the Black News Network, the real voice of Black USA, broadcasting the news from a Black perspective. I do not own the rights to the music, but I do own the rights to what I say. With that, I'm going to leave you with a short departure.